reverse right angle triangle in Java. So that's the topic we're going to discuss today. But while discussing this topic, I thought just revise the for loop once, so that we can have more understanding about this topic and we can do any of the pattern program that we want to do. Now this is the working of for loop. As you can see here, right now we are having in the for loop, we know that there are three types of statement we are having. The first one is the initialize statement, the second one is the test statement, and the third one is the update statement. So now coming to that initialize statement, for example, we initialize something like that, integer I is equals to 1, right? We initialize it, like what's the starting value of the variable. And the second condition, after it knows that, okay, so this is the initialized value, so then it will be going to check. So in the test condition, we are having some kind of a test. For example, I is lesser than 5 or not. This is known as a test. We are testing that whether it is true or false. Very important, whether it's true or false. Now let's say this is true in this case. So we go inside the loop. So inside the loop we are having D. D can be the any statement. For example, we are writing a printing statement, or we can writing a logic for adding two numbers. Anything we could write there. So when this is true, then only we will go inside the loop. But in case this test condition is false, we will be going to exit from the loop. Okay. Now let's say this condition is true and you executed the loop. Okay, this D is executed. But what after that? After D, the execution will go here at C. And what is C? C is the update statement. And what is the update statement? Well, what we want to do with our variable? We wanted to increment it? Do we wanted to decrement it? And this is the incrementation and decrementation by 1. You can do like this also. For example, this I plus plus means that I is equals to I plus 1, right? But let's say you don't want to increment by 1, you want to increment by 2. So you can same statement here, instead of writing I plus plus, you can write I plus equal to 2, or you can write I is equals to I plus 2. So now it is decrement by 2. And if you want to decrement by 3, 4 or 5, so you got the concept that how you will do that, right? So this is how we will be going to do this. Just we will see this flowchart once. So we start, loop get started, and first it will check A. So A is the initialize condition. It will see what is the initialize in the variable. After that, it will be going to check B. Now what is B? B is the condition. It will be going to test whether it's true or false. If it is true, then it will be going to execute D. But in case if it is false, then it will be directly jump to exit. It will end, the loop will end. So this is very important. If the B is true, the test is true, it will go to D. And in the D, we are having any statement we could have. Let's say print star statement. So we are printing the star. And after D, it's very important. I'm making a circle, okay? After D, it will going to C. It will going to the update statement. And then the value of the variable get updated. And after updating, it will again go to B. Now what is B? B is nothing but checking. Let's say I was 1 earlier, I become 2. And after 2, I will again check. So that's how the for loop works. Now let's see the reverse right angle triangle. Now if you can see that, this is the reverse right angle triangle, and this triangle we will be going to do, alright, with the help of for loop, nested for loop to be precise. Now, we can observe a pattern there, right? In the first row, how many rows are there? Just count them. Yes, 5 rows are there. So in the first row, they are having total 5 stars. In the second row, there are 4, third 3. In the second row, it's 2, and then the last row, it's 1 star. So as you can see, this is the pattern. So we can imagine one thing, okay, so this is, these stars are decrementing by 1. So I plus plus means that increment by 1. So what do you mean by I minus minus? Exactly, that is decrement by 1. So instead of using this one, we will use this one, I minus minus, to making the reverse list. One thing. Second thing is that, after each row, the second row is coming just below to it. And we know that in order to make the cursor down into the next line, we use the print ln. Not the simple print, but print ln. The second important point. Now the third important point is that we are starting from how many stars? 5, and we are ending to 1. We are not going beyond it, right? So this is the outer bound, the upper bound. We can see the upper bound is 5 here, and the lower bound is 1. So these are some of the things that we have to keep in our mind while coding. Now let's code. Okay. See. first I will write the for loop. Okay, you can see, and you just remember the concept that we discussed earlier, how for loop works. So according to that concept, I am writing the for loop. I am writing here for, and I will make a variable I, which is of type integer I, and now this time I will be going to initialize the variable, that I will give the initial value. Let's say I am giving it 1, and after that I will be do second thing, which is now the test statement. The test statement will be do I is lesser or equal to 5. The upper bound is 5, so we have to run this loop for the 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So total 5 times we will run from 1 to 5. So it is total 5 times the loop will run. And after that we will be going to increment the value of I, right? Okay. This we do for our earlier right angle triangle, right? But this time the pattern is different, so our values will be different. So instead of writing I equals to 1, I will initialize it to 5. Instead of writing, I is lesser, I is, lesser than 5, I will write here 1, and I will write here I is greater or equal to 1. And we all know that the 5 is greater. Right now the value of I is 5, and we all know that 5 is greater than 1. So this condition will be yes, I is greater or equal to 1 or not. Now instead of incrementing, we will decrement, right? So instead of writing plus plus, I will be going to write minus minus. That's it. Okay, so this will decrement. Right now I is 5, so if it is decrement by 1, so what it will become? Exactly, it will become 4, then 4 will become 3, 3 will become 2, 2 will become 1. Likewise, this loop will be going to run for the 5 times, but in the reverse order, from 5 to 1. Now let's give the body of this for loop. So this for loop starts from here and it is ending here. Okay, here. Now inside this for loop I will give up one more for loop, that is a nested for loop we call, right? The loop inside the loop. So I'm writing here integer j equals to 1, j is lesser or equal to 5, not 5, I. We have to write I here because we have initialized I there, and I plus plus. Okay, here we will write plus plus, and let's close the body of this inner for loop, and let's write the statement of printing system dot out dot print. Okay, I'm not writing println, so just please take that point. And outside this for loop, so we have this for loop, the body of this for loop is this, and the body of this for loop is this. So between both the for loops I will write this statement, which is system dot out dot println, and here I will just remove this. Here I will not pass any argument, I will just keep it like that only, right? So that is how our for loop is. Now let's see the working of it and how it will be going to print that star pattern. Okay, so I use the marker. Okay, so I just wanted to share some important points. So this one is print, so it will be going to print a star. If this statement is executing for the 2 times, so we know that it will be going to print 2 stars, but those 2 stars will come like this, in horizontal manner. They will not come in a vertical manner, but this println, it puts the cursor to the next line. So let's say if this statement executed for the 2 times, and after that this is executed, so the cursor which was used to initially here, that cursor will be going to come here on the next line. It's very important point. Now let's start from the top for loop. Let's make a table and understand the concept very well. Okay, all right, I'm making a table here. So I have, what are the variables I am having? I have I. Okay, I have I, then I have j, I have these 2 variables. Do I have any other variable? No, I didn't have any other variable. Okay, now let's see that. So right now the value of I in the initial it was 5, and the value that we checked was do I is lesser than or equal to 1 or not. Sorry, I is greater or equal to 1 or not. And we know that the value of I is greater than 1, the value of 5 is greater than 1, so that is true. Since this is true, we are going inside the loop. Inside the loop we got j, and the value of j is 1, so let's write 1 here. Now the checking will comes here, do 1 is lesser or equal to I or not, and we know that the value of I is 5, and yes, this condition is also true. You can see that 1 is lesser than 5, basic maths. And now we are going inside the loop, right? Inside the loop we have find it out that there's a statement which is system dot out dot print star. So when you see this statement, it will be going to print 1 star. Okay, now 1 star will print it. Now you can see that this loop is now here, this loop is existing, and we have learned in the for loop concept, whenever the for loop will exist, the execution will go to this part, which is the third statement. So this execution will go here. The earlier value of I was 5. Now the earlier value of j was 1. Now the value of j will increment it. I am very sorry, I written I plus plus, but it is not I plus plus, it is j plus plus. Okay, let me write j plus plus there. All right, now it's fine. So now the value of the j will become 2. Earlier it was 1, now it will become 2. Okay, now 2 again, check with 5. Do 2 is lesser than 5, and yes, it is lesser than 5. Again this print statement will be executed, and we will have 1 more star. Now after that, this statement will be this execution will go here, j plus plus. Earlier the value of j was 2, now it will become 3. Do 3 is lesser or equal to 5, and yes, it is. So we will go inside the loop. Inside the loop we are having print star, so 1 more star will be printed. Now the execution will again go to j plus plus. The earlier value of j was 3, now it will become 4. Now 4 was checked here. Do 4 is lesser or equal to 5? Of course. So we will go inside, and then we will print 1 more star. Then the execution will go again to this statement, which is update statement from here, and it will again check. Now the earlier value was 4. Now 4 j plus plus. The earlier value of j was 4. Now j plus plus 4 will become 5. Now 5 is again checked. Do 5 is lesser or equal to 5? Well, it is not lesser, but it is equal, right? So because of that, it is again true, and now 1 more star will be printed. Now the coolest part. Now see, the star is printing. Now we are existing from the loop again, and now it will be going to go here. Now the earlier value of the j was 5, and now after this j plus plus, it will become 6. And now 6 will be checked. Do 6 is lesser or equal to 5? And the answer is no. When the answer is no, this will be terminated. Yeah, the loop will be terminated. It from 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 4, 4 becomes 5. When it becomes 6, the loop will be terminated, right? And this will be going to our first iteration, which gives us output as 5 stars. This is about the first iteration. Getting it? Now, after this loop will execute it, our statement will comes here, and here we have system.out.println, which means that the cursor which was used to here, because of this statement, the cursor will move here onto the next line. Okay, now again the working of the loop will started, but now we are coming here. So this is also the exit. So this is exit of what? This is exit of our outer loop, right? So we know that whenever the loop is existing, it will be going to go to this part, which is increment or decrement. In this case, this is decrement by 1. So earlier the value of the I was 5, so it will be decremented, and it will become 4. Okay, it will become 4. Now 4 will be checked. Do 4 is greater or equal to 1 or not? And we know that of course 4 is greater than 1. So we will go inside it. Now j is 1, j is the value of the j is 1. Again it will start from 1 because it's a new iteration. One iteration is over. Now this is the second iteration. But this time the value of I was not 5, but this time the value of I was 4. And here the 4 will be get checked. Do 4 is greater or equal to 1 or not? Or we can say do 1 is lesser or equal to 4 or not? And of course the 1 is lesser than 4. Since the 1 is lesser than 4, so this will go inside and 1 star will print it. The 1 will become 2. Do 2 is lesser than or equal to 4 or not? Yes, again the star will print it. And now this will become 3. Again 3 is lesser or equal to star. Yes, it is 3 is lesser or equal to 4. Yes, so again the star will be printed. like, and the value of this will be updated. Now 3 will become 4. Now do 4 is lesser than or equal to 4? It is not lesser, but surely it is equal to 4. So again the star will be printed, and now it will again incremented. Now this 4 will become 5. Do 5 is lesser or equal to 4? Of course not. Neither the 5 is lesser nor it is equal. So this is a time when the loop will get breaked. Yeah, and since the loop is getting breaks because of the condition is false, so we are not going inside the loop, we are exiting the loop, right? So again this iteration is completed, and we have received how many stars? 1 2 3 4. Let me write the 4 stars. And after that, our this execution will be done. So we are going to this line, which is system.out.println, and which means that the cursor which is used to here earlier when this last star, the 4th star, was printed, our cursor was here. But when it's seen this line, which is system.out.println, after this loop, it put our cursor here. Okay, so now again this loop will decrement the value of I. It will become 3. So now we will go from 1 to 3, then 1 to 2, then 1 to 1. So likewise you will observe that the 3 star will be printed, then 2 will be printed, and the last only 1 star will be printed. And congratulations guys, we have made this triangle. That is the logic. Okay, I hope you understand. You code on your computer, right? If it's possible for me to make a separate video about coding, so I will that too do for sure for you. So that was all the concept of how we can make a reverse list of a right angle triangle, and that was all about it. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for that.